What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. And we have a very, very, very special treat for you guys. I am just making sure that we are indeed streaming and we are live. Yeah, we are. All right. Awesome, awesome. So this is huge for me personally and just for the growth of the channel. This is my first ever guest, and I've been wanting to do an interview because as I've been going through this entire research process, I have just been absorbing information, trying to make sense of it on my own, obviously with all you guys commenting as well, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to somebody. And now I have the privilege of talking to Tony Sayers. So I'm just so excited to have Tony Sayers on here, who has just been I believe, just a force of good, trying to figure out what's been going on this planet. He's written multiple books. We'll also post the link to his YouTube channel. Obviously, he's got a big YouTube following as well. But without further ado, Tony Sayers, welcome and thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Josefa. It's really good to be here. You know, anyone that's putting information out like this and trying to search for answers, I'm on board. Well, not everyone. We'll get into that down the line. But it's a pleasure to help you. And yeah, I like what I see on your channel so far. I stumbled across my own review, which was kind of ironic because your thumbnails really stand out because they're pink and
yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, is this guy going to roast me like I roast some people? But actually, actually, I thought it was very well done, and I thought I like this guy, and then I looked at some of your other stuff, and then hopped in your live the other week, and you know, I think it's good. I think you're questioning and probing, and yeah, it's a pleasure to help out and speak to the audience, and probably a few of them are subscribed to my channel as well, I would imagine.
Oh, I'm sure they are because, well, a lot of people in the comments actually told me about you. By the way, I'm just going to highlight a couple comments. We got some people in the mix already, and these are real regulars, and so I want to just acknowledge them. Tom's back in the mix. He says, hey, everybody, truth is out there. Here we go. And Viv B says hello. Viv B has been one of the most vocal people on my channel. And Keiko Loco, Love and Light. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, so thank you guys for jumping on. So just a quick acknowledgement. Okay. Let's start. I've kind of laid this out, our discussion, a little bit in terms, I've broadly labeled it in like people. Then we're going to get into the nature of reality. I want to talk about, are there any, I know you're really against this idea of the hero mindset of a hero coming in to save us and we need to take accountability. And I love that. But I do want to talk about the potential idea of if there are maybe, albeit passive, but some good forces out there that are rooting for us, and we can get to that. But let's go back to, let's start at the top of the list, which is people. And you mentioned you saw my review and you're like, hey, am I gonna roast you or something? And I know you've reviewed a lot of people. There's several people that I wanna talk about with you that brought me into this community. And at the top of the list, I want to start with David Icke, because David Icke, to me, is somebody that, man, I've discovered him a long time ago. And a lot of the things that he was talking about in terms of reptilians, in terms of Loosh, it was almost too much. Now, I've been into the ET space for a long time with the likes of Stephen Greer and other folks. And so that is like nothing new to me. That's been since 2014. I've been well aware of that. David Icke was almost too much. But then everything with the Epstein files started coming out, all this craziness, which is probably only the tip of the iceberg. But I'm like, oh my God, what this guy's been saying for decades is now being shown to the whole world. It's crazy. So this has now really made me very confident in him. But I know you have a more nuanced view of David Icke. So I'd love to hear your take on David Icke.
Yeah, you go straight into the rabbit hole there. Yeah, David Icke. I mean, first of all, he woke me up, right? So same as you, over 10 years ago now, he was one of the first people that I stumbled across. And to this day, you know, I still take on some of the things that I learned from him in terms of, well, one of the main ones that I took on is to not care what other people think. I mean, he really released me from that. I mean, amongst other stuff that I've done, namely inner work and stuff. So that's the first thing to mention. You know, he was pivotal in my own awakening. So I'm the last person really that would ever want to sit there in front of a camera and say, I don't think he is who we think he is. because essentially I want everyone to be on our team. You know, these people that I review, I say it all the time. I don't review them to be like an a-hole or for clicks or likes or anything like that. I review them because there's discrepancies in what they're saying. They're not leading people to what I call their own sovereignty, leading them back to themselves. And I mean, with David Icke, I mean, it only really started around 6 months ago for me, where I've really thought, no, I can't, this guy, no. Aside from a personal experience that I had, which I will separate from the other reasons as to why I don't think he's on our team, the personal reasons were horrifying to me. Basically threatening physical stuff to go on by his people that he's around, threats basically. But I want to separate my personal experience to what I'm actually seeing with this information, because people can turn around and say, well, you know, that's just you saying that, Tony. We don't know about these threats. You could just be saying that. So what I want to do is present the other reasons as to why I don't think that he is basically who he says he is. And one of the main things is he encourages protests and petitions, which is an appeal to authority. He's standing on the front lines of all these marches that go on in London. And I teach that you cannot be sovereign if you have a belief in authority, because authority doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in nature. There is no such thing as authority. Nobody has the right to tell you what to do, how to live your life, make rules for you, make laws for you, legal law, common law. It's all under the same sort of game, so to speak. So the whole political field is, let's call it a strand in the web, right? So you might see the spider, but if you're still in the political dynamics of looking down the political avenues as solutions, you're still very much stuck in the web because you still believe in authority. And the other thing is savior programs, right? So if you have a savior program, Jesus, Buddha, angels, guides, you know, whoever, Trump, right? Doesn't matter. Like as soon as you have a savior, then you give your power away. You put something above yourself. You're giving your sovereignty away. You're waiting for someone, something, some deity to come and help you. You then start to fall into praying, you know, pray. That's a siphoning of your energy in and of itself. And so that also takes you out of your sovereignty. Sovereignty for me is more important than spirituality. Spirituality has been hijacked with all the new age stuff, the love and light. Just keep your vibrations high, never look at the negative, never get angry, you know, just sit under a tree and sing Kumbaya, and the world will just, you'll just wake up one morning in 5D New Earth and everything's, you know, everything's unicorn farts, right? So for me, sovereignty is what they're really scared of, right? They don't. Sovereignty is stepping in your own power, becoming your own leader, becoming your own savior, taking action, making decisions that maybe feel uncomfortable, and really just acting upon knowledge, right? You've got so many people out there that are waiting to be told what to do. I hear it all the time in like the alternative media, like, well, what's the solution then, Tony? What's the solution? What's the solution? It's not my job. It's not your job. It's not anyone's job to tell that person what the solution is for them, right? Because I'm in Mexico. You could, like, that person could be in Africa. They could have a family. I don't have a family. My solution's very much different to their solution, right? So when you're waiting around asking people what to do, what the solution is, going out on these they're all organized marches by the very people that we're supposed to be protesting against. They're all on days off when, you know, politicians aren't even in their buildings. So you're shouting at empty buildings. They're like a controlled valve to let people's anger out. And that's what he's doing. He's at the forefront of these marches. he started sharing petitions. This is what really got me really questioning, because it was just after, in the UK, they had one of the, it was the most signed petition against digital ID. And what is a petition? It's an appeal to authority. It's a, please, sir, stop doing that, right? That in and of itself is begging. The energy behind that is begging. You are begging your slave masters, right? When all we really need to do is say, no, I'm not doing it. And so we just had that big one refused, and I couldn't believe it. The week after, it just came up in his stories on that he was sharing a petition, and I was like, what is that all about? I'm like, here is a man that tells human race to get off your knees, but then he's sharing petitions and he's wanting people out protesting. And what I've noticed is these people are looping people back round again. So they're waking people up, but then putting them back to sleep again by this appealing to authority, by getting people out of their sovereign energy, their sovereign frequency. This matrix doesn't want people becoming their own leaders and their own saviors. It doesn't want you to realize that I'm here to save myself, we're here to save us. They want us looking at all these saviors, all these protests, all these petitions, like where we know nothing ever gets solved, and so on and so forth. So I realized that he was kind of looping people back in to say, which is essentially a slave mentality. And then there's, sorry,
can I ask just a quick question? So I get that, right? You're looking at the petitions, or you're looking at him organizing these protests, but I want to ask, so let's say David Icke is still was correct in waking you up and doing a lot of positive things. Maybe he's taken a misstep in these particular actions, but does that lead you to now take away, discount everything that he says? Or is it perhaps maybe, okay, he's taken a misstep here, but there's still a lot of value in a lot of his other messaging?
The way controlled opposition works, and the way these entities work in the NDEs, is they will give you up to 95% truth before there is what I call the rug pull or the dump in the punch bowl. Okay. So they have to give you a whole load of truth, because otherwise, if they just came straight out the gate with the lies and all of that stuff, you wouldn't believe them. So they blow smoke up everyone's backsides, and then at the pivotal moment there is the rug pull, and then all of a sudden you're back in a cul-de-sac, right? You're back chasing your tail again. Your mentality hasn't changed, because slavery, to end slavery, and it starts in the mind, right? You cannot move out of that mental schism of slavery, because we're all slaves here, right? We're stuck in this prison, whatever it is. But the very notion of protesting and petitions, it's keeping people in the slave mentality, because you're still begging and appealing to authority, to your slave masters. And so yeah, you will get 95% truth in what these people say, and that goes for all of them. But you've always got to look out for the rug pull or the dump in the punch bowl. So I said on my Facebook the other day, 2 things to look out for. If the person you're following, we shouldn't really be following anyone anyway, right? We should just be mature enough to listen to information, discern it, and we shouldn't be putting people on pedestals. And when I did the review, and I knew I'd get a lot of kickback from people who love David Icke, and it took me a long time to even make that video. My channel's been up 15 years, and I've never made a video specifically about him. But I noticed the comments were coming as not all of them, because a lot of people got it, but some of the comments were from people who had him as like a cult-like figure, and they had him up there, and they were down here. You can't say anything bad about David Icke, yada, yada, yada. And I said, that's dangerous. You cannot put people on a pedestal, not even myself. I don't want to be put on a pedestal, because as soon as you put someone on a pedestal, you then put yourself down here, and then suddenly that person can do no wrong in your eyes. And that's a dangerous way. And we see that again in the NDEs. How many times? I mean, you've looked at loads of NDEs yourself. how many times do these people, when they go and they meet elders or guides or angels or God, and they're almost like, oh wow, you're amazing, oh it's amazing, and they hang off every word that entity or deity says, and all of a sudden the rug pull, they're back down again in a human body. And so so that's one of the things. The other thing as well, just some of the people he's appearing on podcasts. There's London Real, and just the energy of that guy, and another huge, like, what I would call controlled channels. But then the other thing that really made me like, right, okay, you got to speak up about it now because it's gone too far, was he promoted Elizabeth April on one of his recent interviews, who is just like the new age queen, right? She believes in 5D, she believes in SAYERS, the Galactic Federation, and I'm like, how can you sit there and seriously present this woman as any kind of credible source? But of course, all he needs to do is open his mouth. So essentially what he's doing is getting other people to rug pull, right? So he's passing people off to these people, and they're just. I mean, I've reviewed Elizabeth April, who tried to get my review taken down, by the way, because they're all about freedom, you know. Oh, we're freedom this, freedom that. But if you say something you don't like, don't like about you, they'll try and get your video taken down. So he's promoting her, and then he's promoting Isabella Green, who I don't like her solutions to the soul trap. This whole connecting with Kundalini, which is serpent energy, which is basically an entity race, and yeah, just she channels as well. In my YouTube, I don't recommend channeling, because the people are channeling entities, false light beings, so they're going to be misguided. Even if they have good intentions, there's going to be a rug pull there. If you're channeling, you really are playing Russian roulette. So if she's getting her information channeled, who is she channeling? David Icke actually started his journey by saying that his consciousness got smashed open and some being was channeling him. So there's a red flag in and of itself. There's other things as well. You know, he's BBC. We had Jimmy Savile, and it's a paedophile channel. So he's links with there, and also just the venues he's given. He got given Wembley Stadium or Wembley Arena, right? This is one of the biggest arenas to speak at in the UK. Like, how can you? And I know he says he's got banned by all, you know, in all these countries and all this stuff, but I feel like that's a double psyop. You know, we have that with Trump. Oh, the mainstream media's against Trump. But I'm looking at his actions now. I'm looking where he's directing people. I'm not seeing him encouraging, say, like he says one thing, but he does another. So it's all very well saying, human race, get off your knees and all that stuff. But then you're looping back people into begging and protests and petition. So there's just too much now for me to really stay quiet, as well as my own personal experience, which was horrific to me, and I couldn't believe it. But I can't expect other people to judge David Icke based on my own experience, right? That has to be aside from the points that I present here. So that's my thoughts on David Icke.
Okay, well, thank you for laying that all out. I really appreciate it. You mentioned some other people there, Elizabeth April. Let me just take a quick moment, though, to highlight. We've got a lot of comments in here, so just so people are feeling heard here, let's see. So we've got Viv B said, oh no, that she's talking. Let's see. So Jazzy wanted to throw this out there, but I think Tony did explain this. He said, so what exactly has David Icke said that offends you? He could be wrong, but so could use anyone, right? I don't think it's a matter of you being offended. It just sounds like you're looking at specific actions that are sending up warning flags in your mind of saying, oh my gosh, maybe he could be potentially compromised. But Jazzy, I will say this. Yeah, you do make a good point of, if along the journey we may, as we're all trying to figure this out, right? If we make missteps along the way, right, Tony, maybe this is a question for you. If we do make missteps along the way, I'm sure I will, I'm sure we all will to some extent, but then does that mean like kind of like I was saying before, does that mean, and you mentioned the 95% thing, but does that mean that we have to jump off board necessarily with, or is it like specific things that are like, hey, if I see this specific thing, that for me is I'm getting off the train?
Yeah, you make a good point, because you know, myself, I got caught up in, and I don't want to turn the whole conversation into this because it will use up the whole of the session, but I got caught up in all the veganism stuff. I got very ill, very sick, you know, and I realized that, okay, I probably made a mistake there. But you know, this guy has got, I don't know how many years, 30 years, he tells us, right? And he's not worked out that the political arena is, there's never any solution into that, right? I mean, 30 years to work out that petitions don't work, 2 days after we had the biggest one ever refused. And again, it's just the people that he's associating himself with as well, you know, like Elizabeth April is just a standout new age deceiver, one of the highest level deceivers out there, and he's collaborating with her. So it's a number of things, you know. Of course there's an allowance for people making mistakes, but you would imagine that someone with all that experience, you know, what I'm looking for in people now is the person that's coming out with the information leading people back to themselves, because people need to be their own leaders, as I mentioned before. And if I start to see that they're leading people back into these other, you know, begging and protest petitions and all the stuff that I mentioned, and into savior programs, because although David Icke may not be outward there presenting a savior program, he's then passing people over to Elizabeth April, who will be. And so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are leading people back to themselves, and that's so important, because again, we see it with the NDEs, where people who have not become sovereign in their own physical lives, they end up getting deceived. They're like easy pickings for these entities, these beings. They get absolutely trounced upon because they haven't embodied that sovereign frequency when they were alive. So if while you're alive and you're still believing in that Jesus is going to save you, Trump's going to save you, the Pleiadians are coming to save you, you know, or you still believe in authority, you're going to carry that on when you pass over, and it's going to be used against you.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned this idea of practicing sovereignty now, and that essentially strengthening you after the transition. I was just listening to this amazing group called Intuitive Underground. They're a bunch of remote viewers, and they talk about just how deceptive the entities can be when you pass over, and how important discernment is. It's very important to hone those skills. I want to go back though. You mentioned Elizabeth April. I've actually made a couple of videos about her as well, and this is my take on her. Okay, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. My take is, you know, when you compare and contrast a lot of the things that she says to a lot of remote viewers or other folks that I like and respect in the space, there's differences. She talks about opening up white light tunnels and things like that, which to me sounds like she's opening up portals right into the astral, into the trap where you get recycled. But when she speaks, and again, I am not perfect at this, but I feel like my discernment's okay. I feel like it's decent, but I feel like she is not intentionally trying to manipulate people. But I think perhaps she thinks what she's been shown or whatever is correct. But I'm wondering, do you think it's possible that maybe she has been unintentionally commandeered by whatever you want to call it, Archons, other forces, and manipulated into thinking she's like liberating people, but then she's actually just a tool for the system?
Well, I mean, she lost me years ago when she told people it was okay to take the poke in the arm, and she would sell them the cure to detox themselves, right? So that was years and years ago. I lost, you know, I mean, I just everything she says just doesn't make any, you know, it just doesn't resonate to me on any level. But I forgot what your question was then. Sorry.
Oh yeah, basically, I think she doesn't resonate with you, but I think my question is she, because the vibe that I get from her is that she's trying, but maybe she is just getting incorrect information via the remote views. Maybe it's being filtered through other entities that are twisting the information and making. So when she's out there saying what she's saying, it feels to me as though she is trying her best. However, she may be just accessing the wrong information. Do you agree with that possibility?
I just see her as an agent of the Matrix. I think she's she's intentionally putting out misinformation. That's how I see her.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that was just one of the.
So just to. Oh, are you still there?
I'm still here. Can you see me? I'm still here. I can hear you.
Yeah. We're having some connection problems. Interesting. Yeah. So what I wanted to explain. Can you hear me? Because you've frozen.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So what I wanted to make a point of, right, is that this whole reality is built on infiltration, right? I don't believe that the nature of this realm was the way it is now. I think it's been infiltrated. I think it's been infiltrated by AI and these entities, these entities that are part of this matrix. So everything about this realm is infiltration. And so if we understand that everything around this realm is fake and infiltration, then we have to apply that to the way to our thinking and the discernment process of truth, and realize that if this is an infiltration, then they're going to infiltrate especially the alternative media, the truth movement, and that kind of stuff. So I know for maybe some people that are new to my work, maybe it feels like, oh, well, he's saying that everyone is. I'm just saying that you have to because a lot of people as well they're quite new to all of this as well, right? So a lot of people have just woken up over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, I'm perfect and I know everything. And, I'm just saying that I guess maybe the 10, 15 years of experience, maybe I've seen a few more things, people come and go, and I've really understood the level to how this system will infiltrate every single aspect of the alternative media, health and wellness, soul trap, food. It has its agents everywhere to misguide, mislead, and put people back into cul-de-sacs. So I'm not doing this to be like annoying or anything like that. I'm just trying to get people to understand that the realm itself is infiltration. So we have to apply that to when we're looking at these people that have huge followings, the algorithms pushing them everywhere. I look at my channel, like I'm chugging along. All right, I've got 25. I mean, I don't do it for subs, but it's taken me, 10 years to get to 25K. Some new ager like Elizabeth that comes flying out the gates, she gets hundreds of thousands of subs overnight. The algorithms pushing her everywhere. Even like David Icke, people are like, oh, the system's against him. He's got 1 million subs. He's like, he got his channel supposedly put back, and mine's still shadow banned. Like, people don't even see when I go live and all that stuff. And it's just like, you can see where what's being pushed and what's not being pushed, and so people just need to, and that's hard for people because people want to believe that these people are on our team. Like I said at the start, I would love to be sitting here and saying, yep, David Icke's behind us, Elizabeth April's behind us, we've got these people. But I can't sit here honestly and say that by what they're putting out, the things that they're promoting. I feel like it's dangerous, and it needs to be shared with people, and then people can make their own decisions, right? Yes. I'm not telling people to believe me. I'm just like, this is what I think based on my years of experience, and I'm very careful to, like, if anything goes out on any of my socials, my YouTube, anything, you can guarantee that I've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. I've spent hours looking at the person. Before I open my mouth, I will make sure that it's as true as I can possibly discern that it's true. So I don't just come out with things and say, oh, David Icke's a shill and all this. It's taken me 10 years to make a video about him, even though I had doubts before. But it's got to a stage now where it's such an important time that we're living in, right? We really are on the cusp of, I don't know, escaping, but also I like to think help bring this place down on the way out. I'm not happy with just escaping personally. I think this place is so evil, it shouldn't even exist. And when you, sorry, I know you want to ask, but I just need to finish this point.
Go
But
for it.
when you look at history, there's a great documentary which, of course, I'm not going to remember right now. Oh God, what is it? But anyway, it tells you. It will come to me. But it tells you about the what really happened in World War II, right? It's not what we were told. And you look at the infiltration there of, you know, the people that really were behind the wars, and they were infiltrating both sides. They were infiltrating the revolution. When you look at what happened to the 50 million Christians that were starved by the Bolsheviks, they were running a QAnon savior program. These 50 million Christians that starved and would have prayed, by the way, they all would have prayed. So there's your savior program. How did that work out for them? Poor people. But they had a QAnon scheme running where there was supposedly going to be these people that were coming to save them. And they all believed this, and then they didn't do anything. And then they all ended up dead, basically. So they run the same things. They run the same scams. And so, you know, we have to go deeper with people despite our personal feelings about them, you know?
I totally get that. 100%. And I'm with you. We should analyze, we should be questioning everything. It's just, man, it gets so tricky because you listen to some people for so long, you build this implicit trust, and then to have to change it up, it's hard. You know, it's that cognitive dissonance. But no, I appreciate everything you're saying. I just want to highlight a couple comments, and then I want to get into some bigger questions, because we're talking about sovereignty, we're talking about escape, but I'd love to know your thoughts on the bigger picture. But let me just highlight a couple of people that have been really active in the chat and on the channel. Krishna Consciousness Academy has been amazing. Tony Sayers, the most practical minded guy I've seen. There you go. Major props. The Truth Is Out There is saying she doesn't get a good vibe from her. I believe you're talking about Elizabeth April. I feel she has been influenced to believe she has certain gifts by those around her. Sometimes it can be those close to us that Lisa. I mean, this is kind of my feeling, is that she's been influenced as opposed to being intentionally trying to manipulate. But that's, again, I don't know if I'm right or wrong about that. Jazzy, who asked that question before to Tony, says we need to be careful who we trust. It's true. Discernment is needed. And not everyone has it. And that's something that we all need to work on for sure. Okay. Here's my question for you, Tony. Big question. And I'm sure there's a lot of layers to this. I know that we're seeking, or we want sovereignty. We want to be independent. We want to potentially escape. But my question is, you may not have the answer to this. What does existence look like in your estimation, outside of the trap?
I ponder that every day. I really do. I mean, I just go by how my essence, not just my essence, but I think our essence is naturally playful, curious, loving. You know, we don't want any of this stuff. We want to live in peace and harmony with everyone, even down to, you know, and again, I don't want to go deep down that rabbit hole because it just ends up taking all the time. But even now I eat animal products again. It still doesn't feel right to me because, you know, I still see the sentience in animals, but functionally, biologically, and I tried every version of it, it just didn't. I was getting so sick, right? So you know, I just feel like at our essence, we're playful, we're creators. I believe we can create realms, we can create worlds. Yeah, how that actually looks, I don't know exactly, but yeah, it's not how it's supposed to be here, that's for sure. Yeah. And I felt that kind of loving flow, and I mean I have it a lot anyway, but especially when you're like clearing like the entities and the implants and all of that stuff, which hijacks the energy, our energy. And then you start to feel that, oh, well, that's really what my essence feels like. You actually feel your heart, you know, the loving flow from your heart. But they hijack that with all the etheric implants and all that stuff. So yeah, I just think that we're supposed to be loving, playful, creative. I'm starting to wonder whether the soul is also an encasement, is the actual soul. I believe maybe more spirit, let's say spirit or essence. I like the word essence. This is a rabbit hole I'm going down at the moment, and I may make a video about it this week. Is the term soul even correct? Is that just another straitjacket for the spirit, right? Because we have all these overlays. So anything that's super popular, words that are thrown out there. So I'm thinking, is that something else? Is it should be more like essence or spirit? Is the soul just another overlay, as well as the astral body and the emotional body and all of that? So I'm going down a few rabbit holes with that at the moment. But
have you heard of the theory that this was brought up by Intuitive Underground, that there is a base reality and that this is a copy or a bad copy, and we're essentially projected into this reality through something they called a fake reality emitter. And so we actually have physical bodies. We still have the spirit or the soul, or however you want to describe that energy, that's encased within another body, but then we're being projected. Have you heard this idea?
Yeah, I've heard the idea, and I believe there's some truth, or maybe it is the truth, that maybe we have like we're in a pod somewhere, like in the film The Matrix, and we've got like this and I think they tell us that in Avatar as well, and maybe our consciousness is being projected into here. That feels right to me. It resonates with me, and again, it's something that I'm continuously looking deeper at. So there's still, even at this stage, so many different things and ideas to throw around, but definitely the idea of this feels like a copy or an infiltration. Definitely an infiltration element to it. And then maybe they copyrighted it. That's why we have copyright laws and all this stuff. So it definitely doesn't feel like the original. So.
I think that's right. We feel it so intrinsically. We just get sucked up into the normalcy of life and how everybody views. Oh, this is how the world works. This is the law of the fit must survive, and we just eat what we kill and we eat,
right.
And that's just normal. But if you really sit back and think about it, it doesn't resonate. It's like it's so not supposed to be like that. Yeah, like even if we try to live the most virtuous life, and this is when I started getting into Gnosticism. If you try to lead the most virtuous, perfect life, every day you must destroy to survive. That is an inherent part of the system, and that just doesn't feel right. So I agree, there's something twisted, there's something off in the nature of reality, and I think we all know that deep down. Now, I know you're saying sometimes people come to you and they're trying to get the answer from you because you've been studying and researching this, and you're saying the answer is different for everybody. So I don't want this to come off that way, and maybe I should have changed the word we to you. But how do you plan to escape? What's your protocol right now at the moment where you pass on?
So as I mentioned before, I'm personally, I don't know whether it's just my ego talking, but this is what I feel in my essence. I feel like I'm here to F the place up. Like I just want to destroy all lies in this place. And I'm not the only one. I know you. That's why you're doing this podcast. People watching this. For a long time now, especially when you know what's going on with the kids in the cages in the underground, like just the rituals and like just how evil these entities are and this system is. I feel like even if I got out, right? Just say you got out and you escape, right? Mm-hmm. It's like knowing this place still exists would just feel awful. It would just feel like a burning building and your family still being in the burning building, right? And I know that there's people that say, well, you need to disconnect from everything and not be emotional about people. And okay, maybe at death it is beneficial to. You can do both. I think you can, while you're here, be as impactful as possible. But when that time comes, you're just like, okay, well, I've done my part, and now I'm going. But I think that we can bring this down, and I'll tell you how we bring it down. It's through frequency.
And Tony, real quick, sorry to interrupt. I want you to keep flowing, but we had a donation. I just want to acknowledge it. It's from Escape the Loosh Farm, and this is basically exactly the question that you're answering. But I'm sorry, man. I didn't see this until now, so I want to make sure if you guys are supporting that you're being acknowledged. But this is exactly so. I'll just read it. Tony, how are you preparing for your moment of death? Amory states to find the Atman for your guided way out. Do you believe there's validity? But anyways, he's basically talking about exactly that right now. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so basically, I believe the system is starting to crumble. Now, have we won? Which you hear in the New Age, no, right? Is it already crumbling? No, right? I think it can go either way, right? Because if you look at what they want to do, right? If we look at the soul trap now with the false light and the masquerading entities, life review, memory wipe, right? What they want to do is they want to trap souls here on Earth, and they're going to do that through consciousness transference, right? Where what they're going to do is they're going to promise people everlasting life, and they're going to say, "Oh, look, sorry, Joe Blogs, you're terminally ill. Oh no, but what we can do, you don't have to die." Well, what do you mean? Well, what we can do is we can transfer your consciousness into the cloud, into this USB or chip. And we can put you into a clone or a teddy bear if you've watched Black Mirror, and you can live forever, right? And so that is going to be very difficult to get out of, right? If you're stuck in a and we may already be stuck in some kind of cloud in the astral. We may even already being like in a quantum computer. I actually argue that we are, and so they're in a rush, right? They're in a rush to replace this existing soul trap or soul trick with this new biodivergence, consciousness transference, which is, I mean, you talk about a horror sci-fi movie, that's on another scale if that goes through. And so, but what I feel and what I've got feel inherently for a long time is this frequency that they're emitting, this Saturn moon matrix, is all about authority, hierarchy, essentially slavery, obedience, and then it's being projected from hitting the moon and then amplifying onto the Earth, right? And so what the frequency of sovereignty does, and this is why I'm so passionate about speaking about people being sovereign. When you embody sovereignty, you are emanating that from your energy field, essentially. So your energy field is shifting from slavery to sovereignty, which is the polar opposite of the frequency that is being projected here. So as more of us embody that sovereign frequency, then I believe things start to crack, and the matrix starts to, frequency wise, start to crumble. I think we're already starting to see that in some aspects. We're seeing I mean, the latest thing is the new virus. I mean, they tried to pull off this rat virus. Nobody bought it. Everyone laughed at it. And then the next day they got monkeypox, right? It's like I'm sensing desperation. I'm sensing like a cornered rat. And again, I'm not saying that we've won and all this stuff, but I feel like they really don't. And I've noticed the attacks that I get when I call out these petitions and protests, and they don't want people being sovereign, because energetically, frequency wise, it grinds up against this frequency that's being projected, which is keeping us in that mind control slavery mindset. So I feel like while we're here, we may not see the fruition of our work in this lifetime, but maybe we're here to plant those seeds, and then it starts to crumble that way, frequency way. And I think what happens is, because the New Age is like a half-truth, they say to people, you need to change your frequency. How do we do that? You just need to keep your vibrations high. You need to think happy thoughts. You need to think love and light. That does absolutely nothing, right? You're basically a passenger. What really does damage is sovereignty, moving into sovereignty, changing your frequency from slave into sovereignty. And that's where, on the frequency level, we start to move out of their bandwidth of these entities. Those entities, I believe, won't be able to engage with us, won't be able to influence us, and that's how we move out. And that's maybe what, I mean, the 5D New Age version is, again, probably a half-truth. Maybe there is this frequency war, but it's not. We're not going to get there through love and light and sniffing unicorn farts. We're going to do it by becoming sovereign.
You know, the Intuitive Underground, again, I'm talking about them because I just made a 3-part video series on this crazy 6 hour and 45-minute discussion that they have about all the data that they've acquired from remote viewing. But one of the things I'm has to do still part 4, maybe even part 5. It's so massive and so much information. But one of the things that they say is that the love and light and this idea of life or incarnation being a school, they're saying it's actually this is more, I think, speculation on their side, but they're saying while it may not be true in this reality, like you said, there's a element of truth in there, meaning incarnation in general, outside of the trap, outside of the manipulation, but in the normal grand scheme of things, is actually for that purpose, is to have experiences and is to learn and grow. But just, you know, you don't have the memory wipe and you don't have these other things. Have you heard something similar, you know, along those lines?
Yeah, I've heard different variations. Is this the same woman that started off with by saying that she's relying on Jesus? Is it that? Is it that lady? Because I couldn't go any further. As soon as she started mentioning that, I was like, Savior program, I'm out. You know?
Somebody else said that in the comments, and I think this is the video, but I don't even remember her saying that. But somebody else commented about that. That's the woman named Fringe.
Because I wanted to watch it, and it wasn't on your channel, it was on someone else's channel. And I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I got 5 minutes in, and she's talking, oh, you know, I really rely on Jesus. And I'm like, okay, bye. Because I can't then, if she's going to fall for an obvious savior program, how can I take anything else that she says seriously? Right. You know, I just can't. So, I mean, I'm not telling.
She's only one of like a team. There's like a whole group of people. There's like 6 or 7 people in the discussion. Right, okay. One of them, just to you know, put that out there. But yeah, I got to go back and listen to that because I missed her saying that somehow.
Yeah, and then I don't know. She's making noises about the school thing. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if we're consciousness, does consciousness just create, and does it need to learn? I don't know. Isn't it just omnipotent? I don't know. Isn't it all knowing? Isn't it all everything? I don't know. It just when I hear school, I don't know whether it's because of all the NDEs. I just get triggered. But you know, I need to probably take another look. But that I did intend to watch it, but then the rug pull happened so quickly. I was like, okay, right. I'm out.
Yeah, it's just these are the questions. Like, if you the reason why I started this whole channel was what is the purpose of life effectively. Yeah. Now it's really gone broader to what is the purpose of existence, because when I began the channel, I felt I was beginning it from the vantage point of watching all these NDEs and saying, oh, we come here to learn and to experience and to have struggles and to have positives, so our energy can kind of evolve and spiritually elevate. I read Journey of Souls. I watched tons of NDEs. So that's where it began. I feel like now where I'm at, it's not about the purpose of life, meaning this life. It's like, that's the question I was asking before. Where do we go after this? What is our existence comprised of in base reality or beyond? And I don't think really we it's just such a big question. I don't know if anybody has a good answer.
It's sad because of the memory wipe, we don't have those memories. I mean, that's the sad thing. It's like we're dumped here. We don't know who we are, why we're here. We've got to figure all this out, and then they reset us over once too many of us wake up, and so many of us are starting over and over and over again. And that's probably retarding our consciousness even more, because we come almost like clones. And so it's one of the sad things. It's one of the sad realizations and the grieving aspects of stumbling into this work is the fact that, yeah, we don't have those memories of who, like, we feel it, I feel it. I feel that I'm way more, and I'm powerful and you're powerful, and that's why would they need to do all of this stuff to us? I mean, it's crazy. I said in another video, where does the power really lie? They're poisoning our air, our water, our food, their mind control. There's a psyop every day. They've got etheric implants. There's entities. They're like, They want to trap our conscious. They want to track, trace. They want to be in your bank account. They want to be at your face on face. Like, it's like, does that sound like something that's coming from a place of strength? Like, imagine that was a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they were like trying to control you and spy on you. It's like, you'd be like, what are you doing? You're so insecure. Like, go and do some work on yourself. Like, what? Do you know? And this is what we're dealing with. Like, I think we need to stop talking about them like they're all powerful, all conquering. I mean, yeah, they've done a job on us for sure. They've done a very good job on us. But I think deep down they're low-key scared of us waking up. But what are we waking up into? Because if you're waking up and being put back to sleep again, that's a win for them. But if you're waking up to your own sovereignty, that's where they don't want you. And that's where people need to get. Becoming your own leader, making your own decisions, speaking up, showing courage, you know, not waiting around for people to tell you what to do and what the solutions are, and, you know, taking control of your car when you die. You know, people are letting their car being driven by these angels and Jesus. Oh, you've got to go here. Oh, now you're going for your life review. Oh, am I? Oh, you know, and then now you've got to go. Oh, well, I'll go here then. And just like taking control of you, your essence, and driving it. And I believe that's how we actually manifest as well, because I don't think you can manifest if you're not in a sovereign frequency. And I found this myself. Just a number of things I've had. Oh, I really need something like that right now. And then it will come, right? It's almost like you're commanding your environment. You're like, if this is an AI, and you have the command button on the computer, don't you? Like when you're sovereign, you're commanding the AI, you're commanding what happens around you. And you know, when I found this place, I was like, oh, I really need this really nice. I need a place in the mountains, you know, with this. Yeah, I took action. That's the other thing. And then it was incredible. You know, this place turned up. It was just everything that I had in my mind. I was like, oh, that's quite a spooky. Did I manifest that? Because that couldn't have been made more perfect. So I think we can go off script. You know, we have our life scripts, but when we wake up and we wake up to our sovereignty, that's when I think we start writing the scripts.
So you mentioned a couple of things there, right? How we need to become more sovereign, because then we get more in control. Now, there's a couple of things that you talk about in one of your books. I can't remember which one, but it maybe, hey, the importance of health. And I'm sure there are other practices that you do daily. So let me ask you this: on a daily basis or a routine basis, what are the things that you're doing to basically empower yourself or make yourself as sovereign as possible?
Basically everything the opposite of everything they tell me to do. You know, I don't eat their junk food, obviously, and you know, I source good food and stuff. But also, you know, I'm not sitting here saying I'm amazing. I've done a huge amount of inner work. I had a lot of things that I needed to work through. I've spent a huge amount of time investing in myself, you know, with people to work through those layers, because it's very difficult to feel powerful, feel self-worth, feel sovereign if you've got a lifetime full of trauma, abuse, and all that undealt with, right? So it's you know, it's not our fault what happened to us, but it is our responsibility to deal with it and not to project it out onto the world. And also that stops entities from using those cracks against you, because entities will use your unhealed wounds against you, hook in, turn the volume up, and, you know, siphon off your energy, right? So I've done a lot of inner work. I do a lot of energy work on myself, you know, clearing entities and implants and stuff like that. And yeah, just the basics really. I mean, you know, I exercise, I get enough sunlight here. I detox, heavy metal detoxes as well, because we're all being sprayed, and even if you didn't take the poke in the arm, you've still got that stuff in the trails. So yeah, just trying to do the best that I can really, because yeah, the better we feel physically, the more empowered we are while we're here. And I don't want to be just a bystander. You know, a lot of people in like the soul trap community, it's like their whole purpose is, I just want to get out of here. but I'm like, yeah, I want to get out of here as well, but I can't. I want to be a solution of while I'm here also, and I just, like I said to you, I can't stand that this place exists in the format that it exists. I mean, there's an interesting word, format. That's more AI, right?
Right.
So it's like, yeah.
You probably, I bet, have a similar feeling, but I felt, I don't even know how to describe it, but since I was a kid, that I was very, very young, that I was here to help people, and in some sort of a way, like and the only frame of reference I had at that time was in kind of like you see in religion, say some, and I'm not, you know, in that world or whatsoever anymore, but that's the only way I could relate it. Like somebody's coming in to help people, and now as I'm discovering all this information, and we're, you know, doing this stuff right now, like I feel the same way. I feel that it's not just about me coming in here and bouncing and be like, hey, because I have a feeling you, me, maybe a lot of us actually came in to help break things down or help get more people out. So that makes sense. I'm going to go through, want to highlight a couple of comments. Sorry, we've just been getting flooded with comments, and guys, I'm so sorry, but you know, when Tony's on a roll, I just kind of want to let him do his thing, but I also want to give you guys respect for being here and all the commentary. So let me see. We got a great comment here from Pat Pittman. Delete the scripts, delete the chords, links, definitely delete the control belief systems, delete, turn to dust, set on fire, encircle any entity being that come to you and squeeze out of existence. Sarah, oh, I think you commented on one of my videos the other day. I like what Mr. Sayers is saying so far. It resonates with me. I pray to the universe that both of you are real. We are real. This is not AI. Okay, let me see a couple more. And then I want to ask you a question as well about some of this is a question from some of my subscribers. We're going to get to that. Let's see this one. Glad I made it to the live. Looking forward to this. I watch both of you. Let's go. 2 in 1. Heck yeah. We're going to do this. This is what it's all about.
You know what? It's great to see someone else wearing a vest in the community.
Yo, I'm athleisure wear all the time. This is how I started my own business 13 years ago. And, you know, at some point, you know, you're talking about sovereignty and basically building your own path. And obviously I still have a long ways to go, but I used to be an attorney, and I eventually started a tutoring business that is so near and dear to my heart because I love working with kids. And that's another way that I think I get to express myself in helping people that way. But yeah, I think that one of the things in going into my own business, I was like, as soon as I'm here, I'm not wearing suits anymore. I'm not, what is it? Tie doesn't even make sense.
I was the same, right? When I quit my corporate job, I said to myself, I am never wearing a suit and tie again. And to this day, I've never worn one. And that was 10 years ago.
I wish I could say never, because when I go to weddings, I wear a tie, or I do a commentating gig about like once a month or once every 2 months for an MMA organization called Fusion Fight League. We got to talk about that, by the way, because I saw you're into martial arts and so am I. But so when I go there, they ask me to wear a suit, so I'll do it. But the rest of the time, no way. I'm not in any of that stuff. Now, so I have a question for you, and this is from some of the subscribers. I can't remember who asked it, but they wanted to know, do you get all of your information via research, or do you also have out-of-body experiences or astral projections or remote viewing experiences where you gather intel?
Mixture of both. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with thousands of people now at this point, clearing stuff, different implants and entities, and finding different technology on people, black cube technology, etheric AI computers, where we're hooked in, plugged in, jacked in. So I've got kind of a good, a good idea of like what's going on around it. I mean, of course, not everything. I listen to other people, obviously. I take on what resonates, and but I spend a lot of time on my own. I would say, just I guess you call it pondering, and I just get a lot of internal dialogue, you know, from myself, you know, where I'm kind of getting the answers to a lot of things just from myself. And but it's a mixture of everything. I'm very open to what people have to say, but at the same time, I always have that discernment right at the forefront, and I'm ready to walk away if I need to. But I've taken on information from people down the years, and of course, you know, on my channel, a lot of what I do is reviews, right? So I'm always reviewing and seeing what's going on with these things. So from those reviews, you can understand, like, okay, these entities are basically liars, you know, the mind control and the memory wipes and everything like that. Also in movies and films, they've been very key to see, like, just watching a series like Black Mirror. I don't know if you've watched it,
I've seen
but
some of it, yeah.
yeah. I mean, that for me, watching those 3 or 4 series, you're like, wow, this is what they want to do. This is the new Soul Trap. They put a great movie is whenever I do these interviews and I go to say the name of the film, or it's almost like I get an instant memory wipe. I can't remember, but yeah, there's some movies out there that have been key to looking at where they want to take things, what's going on, defending your life.
Okay.
If you haven't seen that movie, it's the best one that tells you about what really happens when people die. They go to this processing center. Yeah, they go to this processing center and they queue up like you do for a passport, and then they get put into like this hotel, and then they end up going for their review, and then so they don't get all the love and light and the God, and that they don't get put on the show that these NDEs do, who they want to come back down to say people how wonderful dying is, right? They get that movie tells you what really going on, and like Beetlejuice is another one. Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that tells you about like the waiting room when you die, and it's just a grim place, right? It's not what the NDEs tell us.
There's another movie too, actually, well, 2 movies I'll mention as well. Soul, that a lot of people have been saying you watch that, and there's elements of truth. And then also Jupiter Ascending. People were telling me you got to watch. I watched it. I was like, there's reptilians in this. What's going on? This is crazy. I've never seen reptilians in any other movie before, but that was kind of wild.
Yeah, Jupiter's Ascending is very interesting to learn about contracts, you know, how they get people tied into contracts.
Yeah. And then they also have the equivalent of Loosh, which is, I mean, it obviously has seemingly a different function, but that's pretty wild. By the way, Tony, we've been going about an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. So you just let me, like, you tell me when you think you want to wrap up here, and I'll time it.
We can give them a little bit more. You want to give them a little bit more?
I'd love to. I mean, but so here, I'll say let's wrap, to just respectful of your time. Let's give it another 10 minutes max, and then we'll send you on your way. And if that's too much, obviously you're just welcome to.
Yeah, I can always come back, or
Yes.
So.
Let's do that. Okay. So let me just read through if we got any other interesting, cool comments. Oh, Vibby, got to give her the spotlight. She's always commenting and participating. Tony has free healing music videos on his channel too, guys. Can listen to it volume off. Okay. Very cool. I did not know about that. Let's see here. Agreed. Eddie says, agreed with Tony. We want and should be able to enjoy it here, but they have made it hard to do that. Yeah. Sometimes I feel guilty almost, because I do like my life here. And that was one of the tough things to get my head around, as I've really enjoyed my life and I'm still enjoying it. But yeah, I think we're certain of us, depending on where we live, we have a lot of freedom and flexibility. And it's just not like that for so many other people. Oh, hey, Kelly, what's up? I think Kelly, you're one of the members. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you jumping on here. Awesome to have you. Let's do a couple more. And then Beetlejuice, somebody said, yeah, Nameless Brown. Let's go, Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah, Beetlejuice, yeah.
And Viv B says, we want more. Okay. Well, so do I. All right. Now, let me ask you about, I've got still a bunch of questions, but we've had such a good conversation here. Curious, what are your thoughts on the Tibetan Book of the Dead?
Yeah, I've read that a long time ago, along with the Egyptian one, and I don't know. I don't know whether it's. I like to think that a lot of it's just going to be intention when we pass over, but then, the whole idea of the frequency fence as well, like. I guess you've stumbled across that as well. That's been bothering me again lately, just thinking about. But I think the frequency fence is the frequency fence. This is what comes to me is either starting to dissipate, or it's getting weaker, or it will eventually come down when enough of us embody sovereignty, because the frequency fence is just that. It's a frequency fence. That what is the frequency? The frequency has been slavery, authority, hierarchy, and so when you have the opposite frequency being the main frequency, then that by proxy can't hold up. So yeah, again, it just goes back to, you know, I like to think that we're here to bring it down, and we won't need to go through all of that stuff. I mean, I don't know for sure. I just have a few things that I'm definitely not going to be doing. So I'm not going to be going to the tunnel of light. I'm not going to be talking to any entities until I know I'm definitely out of here. I'm going to have discernment at all times. I'm going to make sure I'm in control of where I'm going. I'm not going to be, you know, being led here, there, or the other. You'd like to think that a lot of our memories come back when we pass. But, you know, there's so many theories. Go down to the earth, go up to the earth, go to the void, go to the, you know, go to the here, go there, go. It's like, how can anyone sit here and honestly say, right, you need to go here? Like, and that would be such a huge responsibility for someone to just come out the gate with, you know, and just say, you know, it's down to the person to do. I mean, there is an objective truth in all of this. Like, we don't just get to make it up. Yeah. But, you know, there's so many different ideas that are bandied around out there. So I'm just going to do better. I'm not going to be merging with anything. That's the other thing. You know, this idea of merging with source, merging with God and all that. No, I'm going to retain my sovereignty at all times. And I'm going to take my time. There's no rush. I mean, I might even create a realm where I could just, you know, hang out in, and but I'm not going to be doing. So there's a number of things I'm not going to be doing, but, you know, for someone to say, oh, well, you know, you need to take a left here, a right here, and then if you just go down the road there, then do you know what I mean? It's like, really?
And also, there's also a possibility too. I've been thinking about this because people talk about the system and the resets and the upgrades, and information that we may have right now about a particular protocol having worked. Well, there could have been a change in the way to now get out, or maybe that hole could have been plugged. So who knows? I think ultimately what you're saying is probably what we have to latch onto, which is discernment, which is we have to keep our wits about ourselves and just be on the lookout for where we can see a way out, as opposed to thinking, okay, this person said 10 years ago to follow this map and I'm going to do the same thing. Well, wait a minute, that map may be totally outdated. So I think that
the other thing just to mention as well, I'm going to be prepared to use force as well, right? Because we have telekinesis abilities in the astral. I've reviewed astral travelers where they've gone to a place where they've had like butterfly nets with like these kind of astral police, and then they've used their energy to make the policemen like hit themselves with a bat. So I think we have to be ready to, and again, this doesn't feel good for people, but I'm more than ready to, if one of these entities comes at me, to use my energetic force to hit back. And I think that it's good to have that in the back of your mind in the locker, because we don't know. These entities are attacking us while we're here on Earth, so why wouldn't it be different? Why would it be any different in the astral, right? So I'm just going in, you know, like you mentioned before, martial arts. Well, why do you learn martial arts? Well, because there's dangerous people around, and you want to learn to self-defense. Same thing there. So this is why energy training's good for people, because if you do it now and you get good, and you know, then if the time comes, then you're already okay. You know, it's normal for you to be doing that. So.
Yeah, this is exactly what people have said in terms of working on your psi abilities or different things like that. So then when you're out, you're not just shocked, and you have some awareness and some abilities. Well, Tony, I got to thank you so much for joining today. Tony's been on here for an hour and 10 minutes, and I want to, like I said earlier, I want to be respectful of his time, but man, what an honor it's been. This has been incredible. My first interview. Guys, if you're still in the chat and you're still enjoying, if you could run up the likes, I'd really appreciate it. Just let us know. Also, put some comments in the mix. What did you think of this interview and Tony Sayers? We got a quick donation. I want to highlight it. A question for Tony. Have you seen any NDE cases where the person meets Greek gods. I can only find NDEs with I can somewhat answer this, and I'll also turn it over to Tony. There are NDEs where you meet all sorts of entities. Whether you're Hindu, you'll see Hindu gods. Buddhist, you'll see Buddha. So it really depends on what you're following. Would you echo those sentiments?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is an algorithm, and it works out the best way to hook you back round. So if you're a Hindu, it's going to use one of the Hindu gods, Shiva, right? Yeah. If you're a Greek god, it will use a Greek god. So yeah, there's not too many of those. I'm sure I've seen them down the years, but yeah, that's exactly right what you say.
Okay, we are gonna let Tony go. People are saying thank you in the chat. Tony, you are awesome. Thank you, Tony. And remember, everyone, every time you smile, you said that, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I got merch on that. I've got like T-shirts and caps and stuff, and mugs with every time there's like a reptile smiling on it. Yeah.
That's cool. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I hope we get to do this again. And like I said, thank you, Tony, and thank you, everybody that has joined along and made this a really fun discussion. We appreciate you. That is all we got for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.